G'day and welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute, joined today by Algared. How you doing, buddy?
Right, and the rumours of my death have been largely exaggerated. Hi, how are you going? I'm tired.
Who said you were
What's
dead?
new?
Who said you were dead?
I'm
said you were
surprised
dead.
you didn't.
No, I didn't say you were
Since
dead.
I was away for 2 days.
Oh, 2 days. Yeah. No, I just said you were sleeping. That's fine. All right, so we're going to strike while the iron hot is today, or the strike while the anvil is hot, either or. And we've got Anvil Day. The arrow, I'm going to start with this one, Arrow, if you don't mind. The meta fighter at the moment. You know, you talk to any of the PvP players out there, Moist, Avenger One, any of those type of streamers, and they'll basically tell you that this is where it's at for light fighters at the moment. For dueling, this is the ship. And at $75, it's doesn't give you a lot of flexibility. It really does lock you into that combat, but it's the cheapest of the light fighters, I guess you could call it, Algared.
It is a light fighter. It's a very good light fighter, I've got to admit. What I really like about that light fighter is it does enable you to put 3 of them into a 890 jump.
Very compact.
Turning the 890 jump into a fairly nice little combat carrier. But yeah, if you buy that ship, you are locked into a fighter.
Yeah, I have no doubt somewhere years from now, when we do get an Anvil capital ship, I will not be surprised if this is not the thing that has a special little compartment, like almost like the Dragonfly bay on the Kraken. I would expect this to have some kind of special little bay just because of how compact it is. It's kind of nuts. So yeah, but yeah, keep your eye on the future for that one.
Or the ability to have so many of.
Yeah. There's a Spartan in here, there's a Centurion, and there'll be the Ballista, obviously. I think we can kind of round these all together, and as we go through, we'll say, well, remember the vehicles, but generally don't recommend vehicles, especially this one. This is $140. This is one of the most expensive vehicles in the entire game, and don't buy vehicles. It is roughly, I know it's a little bit more over the top of the price of the Aurora, but not by much. And again, it's almost $100 over, or it's $95 over the Aurora, and you get a game package with the Aurora as well for that $45. So that's nuts. Yeah, it's kind of nuts. It's got its place in game. Its place in game is earn it in game. No, it does. They do have their place in game, though. Is there anything you want to add to that, or do you want to talk about one of the other ones as they come up?
I'd probably talk about one of the other ones.
All right. All right, cool then. How about you talk about this then? Tell me about there's 2 Pisces. Actually, there's 3, isn't there? No, they don't sell the other one.
Ballista version. Okay.
All right, go for it. Tell us about the Pisces. And the both Pisces. Both of them. Yeah, go for it.
Pisces is great. It's a lovely little starter ship. So the C8R, the C8, which is basically the equivalent of the Aurora Essential, comes with your Carrack. The C8X is the equivalent of the LN, the Aurora LN. The LN has a better torpedo loadout, but the C8X is just a great little snub ship that has quantum drive. So it's a great ship. Absolutely great little ship. Seat for 2 passengers plus the pilot, 4 SU of cargo.
Remind me, Algared. I think the skin upgrade's available for this today, isn't it? So you can actually get the one that gets the X of Edition skin on the Carrack as well. I'm just remembering that. I think it is actually only available at AIE. I think it is actually available today. I have to double. Can you double check that for me when you get a chance?
I can double check that. But what about red windshields? Then the Expedition is for you.
Yep.
And the C8R is a medical version. It's got a bed. Comes with some medical supplies as well, water and food included. I don't think it's as good as the C8X for combat-y stuff as you'd expect, but it does
tailors more into those.
A lot of bunker runs.
Yeah, the bunker runs. Yeah, I was just agreeing with you. It tailors into the bunker runs very nicely. And yeah, if you're a big bunker runner, it's great to have one. Right. And as Algared said, they both kind of dovetail or literally ride inside the Carrack. This is one of the most popular ships in the game of the large ships. But it really is going to be out there alone. It is not really designed to be with other ships. That's why it or even really be around other ships. That's why it's got so many facilities to take care of the people on it and itself, but it's kind of undergunned. It's meant to be out in the black, you know, and but I have a theory, Algared, that I actually want to run by you later about this ship. I've been thinking about it. I actually think this might be jumping between universes. And I'll tell you why later. But it's just something. Systems, yeah, systems. I shouldn't say universes, systems, but literally going through the black. You know, and it might take a time to get there, but that's how it gets to the other systems if it can't find the jump point.
Yeah,
that's my speculation on that part.
Yeah, look, I think the C8X and the C8 series really does run comparable, even when they were building it to the Aurora, and you can almost see the development. The Auroras have better missile loadout, but it's hard to go past a ship that you can walk around the interior of and have the internal cargo, and you know, it's a little bit more expensive than an Aurora, but it's still a damn sexy little ship.
I think we can make it pretty quick. This is essentially the runabout to the Enterprise, which is this, right? And that's one of the reasons why it's so popular. This is the closest thing at the moment that we have to the Enterprise. It is the go round and go where no man's gone before type of ship, and that's why it's so appealing. I think, you know, that's why it's one of the most popular ships in the game, because we know from the polls they did early on, was it 79% of people or something, or 75 to 79% of people wanted to do exploration. It was really, really high, and that's why it's such a popular ship. So yeah,
I think CIG expected the pew PvP type aspect and piracy to be the absolute queen.
Yeah,
but no, it was exploration. People wanted to be Star Trek, and look, even me when I was first in, before Carrick was kind of listed as a ship that was coming. But for me, I always saw the Idris was kind of the Enterprise, because it was, you had the crew, you had the NPC red shirts that you could use as casualties.
A little bit more combat, but I think this is, or maybe it's more like Voyager then. But you know what I mean? Like it is an explorer without the combat, essentially. So yeah,
absolutely. It's you can almost see it was built to appeal to that desire for exploration, and that's one of the reasons, because it was so early as well. It's got everything. It's got repair. It's got a hangar. It's got a vehicle bay. It's got modularity. It's, you name it, it's basically got it.
Be careful with those words, and that's why a lot of people own it, because it looks like an everything ship, but its weakness is it is undergunned. There are no guns on the pilot, as an example, right? It is right. It also happens to be today's CCU, and unfortunately, CIG has been a bit of a dirty dog here on us today. So the Hull D is going up in price tomorrow, and the Orion is going up in price, but they haven't yet. So basically, they removed both of them. So the D's coming tomorrow, but it's not here to use as a CCU today, and the Orion's already been removed. So take your pick, CIG. You were meant to give us one of those, and you didn't. And because of that, the only option for CCUs now is the M2, and basically that means it costs you $30, but you do save. No, sorry, it costs. Oh God, man, my math is off today. What was it? You save. It cost you $40, but you save $30. So where if it had been the other way around, it would have been $25 for the upgrade. And then you would have saved $30, so it would have been less. Now it's more, so it's a saving, yes, but if you go back in time, there were times where you could get a CCU like this for $5, right? And they would save $40.
But then if you'd had a CCU to say the Hull D, and you're spending, then whatever the Hull D went up tomorrow or the next day, you'd have had that saving added on as well. So
so it would have been screwed that way as well. Yeah, I understand why they took it off, because they was trying to save grief, but it's just very annoying that it's such a large jump there. You know what would be even more annoying, Algared, is the Aristata drops, and it's like right bang in that 520 type of area.
Oh yeah,
because that's probably where it, like, if you look at where it's dropping, guys, it's essentially the middle point is 475. So chances are it's somewhere above that. And you got to remember the old ship was at 575. So it's somewhere 475, 575. That's where we're expecting it to drop.
when we looked at the prices, we said, the only other option we could see would increase the price of the Orion and then adjust the price of your Aristata to be in the middle.
But the point is that would have worked well with this CCU. Anyway, all right. Let's go back to Anvil Day. And we're on to the Centurion. So tell me about the Centurion, Algared.
Centurion, that I do believe is the troop carrier version.
Nope, it is the shoot turrets version everywhere.
All right, two turrets. Yeah, my favorite version's the troop carrier. This is a kind of like I suppose an AA platformy type thing with two turrets. It's a vehicle.
Yeah, so essentially it's a vehicle, so you don't buy it. And unlike the Blister that's got further range, but it runs out of missiles, this doesn't shoot quite as far, but obviously they recharge. So there's pros and cons there. Continually firing, so it's kind of like more like a last line of defense, but the Blisters go further. So a mix of both is good. But again, it's just way too expensive. That is the same price as a Cutlass, right? So, and by the way, the Cutlass used to be less than it, right? So that just kind of shows you the Cutlass used to be $100. So
yeah, Cutlass used to be $100, and it's only recently gone up to 110.
Yeah, so kind of crazy for a vehicle. All right, the Crucible, an oldie but a goodie like Algared. Tell me about that one, Algared. We preach about this one quite a bit, don't we? So.
And thou shalt buy a Crucible,
yes,
and enjoy life for everlasting. The Church of a Crucible and Endeavor, or the Cult of a Crucible and Endeavor, however you want to call them, they are there for a reason, and that is the $350 original war bond price. The original concept price. It still has that price. It blows me away. We know this ship's going to grow because the hangar is supposed to be big enough for a Hornet, which is a size 2 pad.
Yep, and that and that metric is increased, and they've probably made it so it can hold other ships as well. So currently, something like a Freelancer is fairly long. So if it's got to hold a Freelancer, which we're expecting because now they're using metrics, it's going to grow considerably. Yeah.
So the thing that sets the Carrack apart from most ships is if it's
Crucible.
got the Crucible apart from most ships is that scarable, that hangar area is detachable. The second thing is it can close up over the fighter, so over the Hornet type thing. So it's an enclosed area to work on.
And
but
they
even also open up, as you can see in that diagram.
They even work separately too for a short period of time. So you could be repairing two ships at the same time, believe it or not. And
which
there's
was one of the things that blew us away, wasn't it? When we went back and watched all the videos.
Well, you know how they're going to do it now, don't you? With the batteries, obviously. You know, so you can run it on battery power for a bit. Also, going off the back of the SRV yesterday, this has a tractor beam, and more than likely it's the same one or even more stronger one than the SRV, so it can actually drag and move capital ships around. Once you take the Scarab out, you can also put bigger ships like the Retaliator and Connie in that area, so they can be repaired as well. This literally repairs everything. This is the top end. Essentially, I think it's technically at the moment a large, but technically it can do all the capital. It's capital repair as well, because it can repair everything with those arms.
It was built to be able to repair the capital ships. The other thing with the Scarab is the top can open up. So ships that are too big to go in the Scarab and locked up can be actually worked on in the Scarab with the top open. It is just an absolute...
Drones. It goes on and on and on. Repairs itself. It just goes on and on and on. And it's to the old metrics like the Endeavor. That's how we know that it's going to grow. It's got a relatively small crew count. Me and Agri could just gush about it, right? We've got videos on this. We've done 2 ship scrutinies on it. If you want to go look at the playlist on that, if you want to talk to us about it in person, because we will go on about this if we're not stopped, won't we, Agri? So
I do have to point out the biggest flaw in this ship, and it's a bonus, but it's also a flaw, and it is I think the max crew's around 8, so it's 3 to 8 for the crew, but it's got a lot of entry points because when you're repairing a ship, you want to be able to get out and get to the ship you're repairing easily. But that also is the flaw in the ship in terms of there are lots of entry points into the ship to board and cause grief. So, but
it's not combat. It's not a combat ship though.
No, it's not a combat ship. If you're taking it to combat, you're nuts.
Well, it's combat support, so it'll be on the edge of the battle, maybe. So yeah.
But this is an absolute gem of a ship, and the price is going to go up. It's every other $350 ship originally that came out is now double, triple the price. So
that and the Endeavor are the only two that haven't gone up like that. But he's not wrong. Things like that. If you can't afford $350 today, or you you want to take that speculation CCU, you can get a Gemini to Crucible for $10 and just sit on it. And I have 2 that I'm sitting on, but I've got multiples in buyback because there's a lot of people that come along during the year that just go, oh, I wish I had that. And then I just sell them to cost at them, you know. But again, if you...
The other thing I will say with that is that I usually say, get the CCU from a readily always available ship.
We talked about this yesterday,
Now,
Algared,
people
actually.
are going to say the Gemini is not always readily available.
So Algared,
it is viable, so the price isn't going to go up.
So
but
hang on, Algared. We talked about this yesterday. So get a mold to Gemini as well.
Yep, you can do that.
Yep.
But the Gemini is always available in Invictus and IAE. And so even though it's not always available all the time, it always comes up in Invictus.
But rather than buying a single CCU, Alistair, how good, I call you my brother's name, Alistair, right? Instead of buying a single CCU, we recommend 2. So get a mold to Gemini and then a Gemini to Crucible. But again, you only need the one, but it just means you might be waiting 6 months to if it ever goes up, at least you've got it locked in at that price and they can't increase the price on you. That's the main one. All right.
Yeah, and that's the main reason we say just buy a CCU to lock in the price.
The Hornet. I guess this was the original ship, Algared. I think this is what we'd kind of call this one now. It is the oldest ship in the game, essentially.
It is one of the original 5.
Yeah. Probably expensive now for 110, considering you can get a Cutlass at the same price, but it just shows you how overpriced combat has always been. I don't know. It's the PvP people do say it is the best for team battles, so it's actually better than the F8C because it's a bit more nimble, and it can outmaneuver the F8C, much like the Arrow as well. So I think that's kind of where it's at. We can probably briefly, Algared, do you want to talk about the different variants here?
So yeah, there are 5 variants. Originally, the variants were what you can do with your ship in terms of upgrading points. Foolish fans just bought everything.
Yep.
The Wildfire is just a variant with has a size 5 mount put on the
very expensive variant, like literally $65 for a mount, a gun, and a skin. That is 100% a pass.
And the problem is that if it was a bespoke mount, if it was a mount that you couldn't get anywhere else, you could go get behind it. But
yeah, it's available in game.
You can buy those components in game, and so the only thing that you're buying that you can't get elsewhere is the Hornet Wildfire skin. He's
not wrong. You can literally so this is cargo by default, and you can replace the ball turret. There's one that comes with 2 guns, and there's one that comes with 1 gun, like on this. Buy them in game, and they're dirt damn cheap. They're really cheap.
And you've got exactly the same ship.
I think this is where it's at, though. Yeah, the Super Hornet.
The Super Hornet is a 2-player ship. If you don't have a second player in that turret or in the remote turret, it becomes pilot controlled, locked forward.
Yep.
So you get extra versatility if you have a second player, but if you don't have a second player, you don't lose that turret control. Yeah,
absolutely. I think like if I was going to, especially when that's 165 or sorry 175, for $10 extra, you get a whole nother person to control the turret. It's like don't get the Wildfire. If you get the Wildfire, it's disownment treatment there on that one, I think. The Tracker, this is kind of like the command and control variant, you would say, Algared?
Yep. That was the idea. It's the command and control of a squadron of Hornets. It enables a small group to go out and still have all that versatility that the larger ship would provide. One thing that as we're going through, you can see that central disk area is the main area. It changes.
Yep.
Every ship, every one of those ships could take that cargo module. Every one of them could take.
Yeah, essentially from back in the day, Algared, wasn't it? All the older ships, what they were trying to show out was the modularity that ships were going to have, and that's essentially what they're showing here. And that circle triangle type of motif is such an Anvil staple these days. You'll see it in all the ships. Everything today, if you look at it from above, there'll be a circle, and the whole general shape of the ship is a triangle. But yeah. All right. The Ghost, Algared. Tell us about this one.
The Ghost. This is your stealth version, if I remember correctly.
That is correct.
Has behind the line,
has lower emissions and things like that.
I believe it even had the paint skin, lowered emissions as well.
Yep.
You name it, it had it.
Yeah, I think it does have some drawbacks as well, but I can't quite remember off the top of my head. It has been a very long time since I've looked at this ship, but again, just
It
the broad
certainly seemed to
overview.
give up. It certainly gave up a lot of its firepower, so it doesn't have its chin mount,
Mm,
as you can see in the diagram. It doesn't have
yeah.
the turret mount. But
So yeah.
it, I can't remember if it can mount the turret. But then the second you start adding more stuff on, you
I
increase
think
your
you can.
defense
I
cost.
think you literally can turn it back into the other variants. It's just that the
And,
stuff that it comes with. Again, it's those modules, Algared.
yeah,
It's
and that's the thing that set. Like that's the type of thing that really we are seeing in those really early ships is they were showing different loadouts in the variants, and as fans, we just went, yeah, I'm buying it, I'm buying it, I'm buying it, I'm buying it.
I'd actually hope in the future we see this type of modularity come into other ships that don't even have
Mm.
modules. I'd hope that you could fully customize your ship in the future to, every little ship has these little spin-off variants.
Yep.
That's what we're hoping for. Whether that comes to pass, well, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? So, yeah.
Yeah, that was certainly how it was originally built, but yeah, whether we've screwed ourselves by being avid ship
God,
buyers.
how long has it been since we've been in this one, Algrid? The Gladiator. Me and Algrid have a very big spot for this ship. It flies like a rickety old thing. It's in a terrible place right now, but there's just something very visceral about it when you're in it. It's very hands-on. The way it moves, it makes these weird noises. How else do you describe it, Algrid? Yeah.
I love a Gladiator. It's
Yeah.
not a ship I would recommend buying because
Yeah,
obviously they
absolutely.
and it's
Yeah.
cheap, and even though it's a torpedo bomber, it's only got size 5s,
Yeah.
so it gets outclassed by the Eclipse and everything else.
Yeah.
But the carrier-borne bomber, it's kind of like a dive bomber type idea. In lore, this is the ship that the Lost Squad uses.
Would you agree with me, Agrid, being, AIE, now might be a great opportunity, guys, if you've never flown one, go rent one. Get in there with a buddy and go for a fly. It's definitely an older school Anvil as well, because you can see now you can tell, like, if you look at the F8 and the Hurricane, there's a big difference. This is more like the Hurricane. It's that older one where the seats come down and you sit in it and it pulls you up. You don't climb up into it like the Hornet or the F8.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just something really cool about it, and that this is the epitome of that World War II in space feel, and the way the landing gear works. This just needs some love because it's obviously a lot older as well, and the Hornet got a pass and an upgrade. This just never got that, and so it's kind of languished.
Hasn't got that yet.
Yeah,
but you can see this picture here has the Gladiator with its pilot in a turret, with its co-pilot turret.
Yeah.
You know that because it's actually a man turret, which means if there's no one in that turret, the pilot has no control of the guns.
Yep.
Which is slightly different from the Hornet,
with a remote turret.
Is remote control.
Yep.
So
on point.
There you go.
The Hawk. This is a ship I can actually get behind at this price point. Unlike, say, something like the Hurricane. This is really weird, right? And we're going to talk, the Hurricane isn't right next, right? So this is one of those things that is really weird, right? Where marketing and design do not line up. So in-game, this costs more to buy in-game, but out-of-game, the Hurricane is more than two times the price, and it's cheaper in-game.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Go figure, right? And so this is a bounty hunting ship. Bounty hunting is about to become online as an actual gameplay. They are reworking the back of this, and it even looks fatter in this photo, Algared. I don't know if you've noticed that. To take those pods, like those little, Han Solo in the frozen carbonite thing. It's the bounty hunter bed. So instead of being on a seat like it has been traditionally, you will eventually be putting pods or beds, coffins almost, into the back. It's tailored at bounty hunting. It's got an EMP. It's good. It's a really weird combo ship, but it's one of those ships. It's the second ship I buy every time a patch goes live. The first one, believe it or not, is the Hurricane, and then I go and buy because it's just great 2 little player ship. And me and Algared, me and Badgers have all gone around and had little flies in it. But then I go buy this one to fly around it on my own. And again, if you can rent it today, it'd be up there. These 3 ships I'd be all recommending actually for a rent today. They are all great older ships.
They are fun ships to fly.
Hurricane,
I really do enjoy them. Hurricane, one of the better 2-person ships in game, in my opinion. The reason why I think that is because the gun loadout on the turret feels more than, and I'm going from memory, feels more and is more than the pilot control guns. And that forces the pilot to actually work with the turret gunner, whereas in, say, the Scorpius or other ships where the pilot has more control, pilot doesn't give a rat's about his turret gunner.
It's a mental game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one actually really, this is almost, to me, feels like a really good Banu ship in terms of that synergy you need between your crew. Whereas the others are just, every man for himself. But this just seems to hit that sweet spot between the way the crew operate. And that's why I love this one so much.
Yeah. The loadout that I take on it when we go at Algared is I actually put distortions on the pilot, and then whoever's in the seat, I just leave the default badges on. But what that really does is as we fly in, that's the best chance to shoot as a pilot, right? When you're going straight at the other ship. And look, we've actually gone up against other Hurricanes that just had the default loadout or other loadouts. And because the shields are just like instantly removed as soon as you get there, you do more damage because though they're able to shoot you as well, they can't bring the shield down before that first pass. And then after that, as a pilot, you're just topping them with distortions to keep the shield completely down. And because of that, eventually you win because they just don't get the shields down off your ship and you win. It's just a really simple build, and that's being carried onto the F8 in the meta builds for the F8.
And you can see that build that Execute uses really just emphasizes that teamwork that you're using.
Yeah.
He's knocking out the shields while his turret gunner is doing getting the kills. And that's,
teamwork makes the dream work, literally. Right. The Legionnaire. We know the Turducken. Well, I call it the Turducken because she's grown. She's fat now. She looks like. If you don't know what a Turducken is, Google it. By the way, it's literally like 3 birds stuffed inside each other.
And since you just mentioned Turducken, to our American viewers who are watching, happy Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, it is Thanksgiving too. Shit, I totally forgot about that. We don't celebrate here, obviously, but happy Thanksgiving.
But since you mentioned a Turducken.
Yeah, maybe you are eating a duck and maybe you do know what it is, So, the Legionnaire, this is coming soon. Obviously, we're going to have hacking gameplay coming in at $120. It's a really good, it's one of those ships that you'll get to see develop. But again, it wouldn't be, being a ship, it's not going to maximize in value. It might be a great one to have along the chain so you can see how it goes. What's your thoughts on it?
It's a troop ship, a troop landing craft.
Another dropship.
Boarding ship.
Yeah, boarding version of a dropship,
The only other ship that I know has similar type of gameplay down the track is the Hammerhead.
Yep, I'd agree with that one. Where the Hammerhead's more ramming, this is hacking. So,
hack onto the side, break in that way, Hammerhead. Yeah, but both of them, I think, are going to get that from that trailer we saw where the Vandal ship bores its way into the ship and damages the hull. Both of these will benefit from that type of gameplay.
I wouldn't be surprised in the future that if this doesn't also potentially get a ramming mechanic as well. It kind of looks with all that armor at the front, it could do so, but we'll see. We'll see. Just say I'm not going to say that's what's going to happen. I'll just say I wouldn't be surprised if. So right. The shipping ship, the Legionnaire. We don't tend to like this one, do we? Here because
Liberator.
The Liberator, because it does 2 things at the same time rather than focusing on one, because generally speaking, you don't want to take ships and vehicles. You just want to take ships or vehicles. So I think firmly, Algared, I think the place for this ship now is literally ships that don't have a jump drive. It is the Ferryman. It'll literally be taking people. That's again why it's got a small crew count. It's really just taking people through jump points. And that's why they said it's needed for Pyro. It's not in Pyro itself, like these massive carting people all the way across, though it can do that. It's mainly just to get people through a jump point. That's where I see it at. And that's probably why it didn't have beds initially and stuff like that. Yeah. It does have beds, though, now. For the people that are people on board, by the way. So, yeah.
That's nice. About time. But it is a ship. It's not a proper carrier. I think an 890 jump is a better carrier than this.
Hang on. That's 570. Oh, yeah, 575 is just out of the range. So you wouldn't have been able to get that upgrade, unfortunately, today. Right, the Spartan. This is the one that you said is your favorite. This is just an APC, yeah.
This is my favourite. Yep. This is a troop carrier. So the troop transport ship. What I like about this as a troop transport ship is when you look at the back, it's got place for 6. I think it's 6 crew, and you think there's such a large area for 6 crew, but it is the first ship we've seen where fully armored, heavy armored guys can sit in the back, fully armored, with their equipment, and not have to worry about it. And so this ship, this vehicle, actually tells us that down the track, if you've got a small seat like the Ursa, the Ursa's got room for the same number of people, but the seats are for people who aren't wearing armor. This is for people wearing armor, and so,
or at least heavy armor.
Yeah, heavy armor, and so that to me really sets this apart as a troop transport.
And they've stated that, haven't they? They've said essentially you won't be able to fly a ship if you're wearing heavy armor, and that's why you might be able to. You can do it in medium or light, but not in heavy. That's meant to be a drawback of heavy, because otherwise they're worried people just use heavy all the time. But again, when this came out, it was actually the LTI token, but at $80, it's an earning game. The price between the three of these is almost exactly the same in game, yet the price difference is what, $60 difference. So yeah. Terrapin, really expensive for when it came out, and it has not aged well, considering you can get a Raelian for the same price as this, and this is a small ship, and the Raelian is a large. It's just weird. It really should have been a lot lower than it is. It's essentially on par with the Prospector and the SRV that came out and the Vulture. It should be in that price range, so 150 to 175, not up here with the large boys. It needs to be back down with the mediums.
Part of this was I think part of the price for this was the gimmick.
Yeah,
that it could close
the
itself
hype
off, and
the hype as well. Like people got really like I love the look of this ship, and it does. It looks freaking awesome.
But the gimmick of this ship is that it can almost cut off its heat emissions by locking itself up and sealing the heat inside for a short period of time.
Yep.
And so when it does that, heat emissions just disappear.
Yep. Its claim to fame is it's got 2 utility mounts, so you can put 2 scanners on it, not 1. Like the Scout that just came out, that's only got 1 on it. This has got 2. So, for example, you could have like a bio scanner and a mining scanner or whatever. There's multiple scanners, so you can look for 2 things at once, not 1. It's got I think it's only got 1 bed though, doesn't it? Yeah, 1 bed. So technically you can put 2 people on it, but then your life life support won't last as long. But you are really meant to get out of the seat and then sit in the scanning seat and scan, and that's a part of the turning the heat emissions off thing, so you can hide a bit while you're doing it. It's more military based. It does fit in the Polaris, but as we said, as a small ship, it should be way further down in price. But if it's your jam,
the thing that I do like about this in lore is that there are variants. So in lore there are rescue versions, and the one that really tickles my fancy is the kind of the SEALs transport. So the Marines actually like this as their transport ship. It's cramped.
Yep.
But they like it because of its armor, and that's the other thing. This is supposed to be
heavily armored, and that's why people liked it. And the other variant was the search and rescue one that we saw in the commercial with Jax McCleary one year. And I hope, kind of like what they did with the Antares Algared, I hope they learn from that and the 2 variants go down in price, not up in price. Because I think, well, maybe they'll put 1 above and 1 below, but like it really needs to come down in price. And I think that might have a chance to sell a lot more of it if they can bring it down, because the price hasn't aged well.
As I look at the variants that I hope they bring in, if they put in 1 above, I could see the medical one being above, because that's the one people will see as being valuable, and then hopefully the troop one would be less. But yeah,
agreed.
That's the downside of this ship is the price.
Right. The Valkyrie, this is the last ship of today at $375. It is another drop ship. All drop ships have their place in this game. They all have a niche. This is like 4 Cyclones and 20 troops. So it's designed to kind of that, small vehicle transport, essentially, Algared. I think you'd kind of agree with me on that. Is its thing.
Yeah, and key thing you can see between this one and the Legionnaire. The Legionnaire's picture was in space. This one is an atmosphere. And the reason for that is because when you open up a ship, you actually vent the whole ship, which is what everyone complains about.
We do hope they fix that in the future, yeah, with air shields or something like that.
I don't think they will. I actually think this is designed specifically as
in Atmo,
an atmosphere transport ship.
It does. It does
even
look
on
like
the original,
that. We know it's short range as
and
well.
remember, even on the original playthrough they did at Microtech, the taxi they were shown to take you from the airport to everything was a Valkyrie.
Yeah, and it is short range. So, it's not long range. It really is designed to go from like a space station to ground type of thing, and that's it. So yeah, I think you're kind of right there, Algared. That's probably has had that design in mind. That said, it is a fairly, like, it looks fairly large, but believe it or not, it does fit on a medium pad, which is kind of nuts for a ship of its size. The only thing I don't really like about it is just like how mushed into the ground that turret on the bottom feels, that you can just see in the screenshot there. But it's got a really nice pilot area and cockpit. It's got some remote turrets on the wings. Yeah, it is a greatly coolly designed ship, but there's just some functionally weird things about it. Again, when it gets that gold pass, though, I think they'll buff a lot of those out. All right,
100%.
Right, I think that's kind of it for today.
Yeah, just on the Valkyrie, but it can take some cargo. When it was first designed, it was supposed to take vehicles, but it couldn't take cargo.
That's right. Oh yeah, they did, didn't they?
The backers actually said, "Hey, this doesn't make sense."
Yeah.
And that was adjusted, so it can take some cargo or the vehicle. But you're better off taking vehicles in most cases. But yeah.
Yeah. Do you know the vehicles that actually fit in an Algared off the top of your head?
I do believe it's a Cyclone. I don't think I'd be a liar. I can't. I don't take it out enough to know.
Yeah, so you can't fit the large vehicles like
a Ballista certainly doesn't fit.
Yeah, and the Nova tank and the new Storm don't fit, but your mediums like an Ursa do, and your smalls like Cyclones do. But it really is tailored around those smalls, specifically the Cyclone. It really, really, really heavily dovetails with the Cyclone. But I imagine down the road there will be more ships that actually work with it pretty well. There is no new skins on the store today, but there are skins for those ships that were mentioned. So you can go through and have a look at that. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, what you think about it. Do you like the Legionnaire, or do you know things like that? The Liberator. I was trying to think of Liberator. Do you like the Liberator?
Do you still think the shipping ship is more valuable than we say?
Yeah. And you know, what are your favorite Anvil ships? Because it is one of the, essentially it's the oldest manufacturing game, believe it or not. Like it's been, because the very first ship in game was the Hornet. So it is from not from lore, but from real world, it is the oldest manufacturer. And that's why there's so many great ships for it. It just doesn't have that capital ship that we all want. And it just, in the sales, it tends to not track as well, you know, those big sales spikes like the Idrises and Krakens do. But eventually, we're going to get a capital ship, and this thing will just go gangbusters. So we've been waiting for it for years and years. But yeah, Algared, what would you like to?
Every year we think.
What would you like to hear from people in the comments below?
Well, I was going to say every year we keep hearing an Anvil capital's coming, but it's that elusive dream. Yes. What would I like to hear? What are your opinions on the Liberator? Is it just a shipping ship? Does it have greater versatility? What do you think of those small little dual person ships?
Yeah.
The ones that, you know, they're certainly not ships you'd normally buy because you can should be able to earn those very easily in game. Certainly for Hawk. Yeah. Should be an earnable in game really easily. But what do you think of them?
Yeah, so Algared's talking about the Gladiator, the Hawk, and the Hurricane. Rent those and try them out, and let us know what you think in the comments below, because they are 3 of our favorites, believe it or not. So yeah. All right, with that then.
Even though we say don't buy them.
Yes, exactly. But, you know, again, it's value versus good and bad. Like, you have to be able to differentiate between what's a good ship and what's good value. So yeah. All right, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell, and thank you to the people who went an extra mile on Patreon at the end of the video. With that, he's been Algared.
He's been Execute, and we're out of here.
Catch you in the live stream later today. Bye.
Well.